Here we go. Welcome, students, to Monk Meditation, the show of monks, by monks, and for monks in the world of Warcraft. This week, we give tips on 3 Throne of Thunder bosses, go over a guide for new Mistweavers so you can get up and reviving with the best of them, 5.4 gets a drop date, and we talk Vengeance nerfs. Don't worry, the sky is not falling. That's only Sunnier's tears for her last DPS. Welcome to Monk Meditation, Episode 2. Hello, all you wonderful monks out there, and a special hello to those watching live on Twitch in the chat room, which Daikatsu lovingly named the dojo. We have a show bursting with information and monk goodness today. My name's Chai T from Airy Peak, US. Let me introduce you to the hosts of today's show. We're going to start off today with our main tank from the peaks of Colorado. Sunnier, how are you?
Hello, everyone. I hope we all had a good 2-week break.
I know I did. All right, next we have the Mistweaver that keeps my raid team up and running from sunny Florida. Daikatsu, great to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Hope everyone's excited. This is going to be a great show.
And now going overseas to the Windwalker, that's quite the talker. Air, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Konnichiwa from Japan.
All right, and if one healer from Florida was not enough, we have another. Now, Yuki, what you got for us today?
Confucius say,
Uh-oh.
Brewmaster who does not prepare for raid may end up tanking it.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Alright, that Confucius say was sent in by Guanshu, aka that random geek, a Windwalker monk from Convert to Raid Galleon on Airy Peak, US. And by the way, guys, missed you lots. Glad to be back and talk some monk nerfs. Stuff.
Hey. Watch the N-word around here. All right. So, I want to get to know everybody a little bit better. Last episode, we talked about why did we choose monk. This week, I want to know, how did you choose your name? I'm going to start with Duke. Daikatsu, how'd you get that?
I actually picked out the name from a game that I used to play called Legend of the Five Rings. It was a collectible card game. And while I don't speak Japanese, I've found pretty reliable proof that Daikatsu means yelling with a thunderous voice, and a lot of people say that fits me.
I can't imagine why. Now, Yuki.
I don't know.
All right, now, Yuki, how'd you get your name?
With my name, Google was my friend. I basically Googled Japanese names, and when I Googled it, the meaning of my name was honesty and happiness, mostly used for boys' names in Japan, pronounced Naoyuki. He was a Japanese samurai from like 1851 to 1852 as an instructor, and I felt this was an appropriate name for my monk class, although the name is mainly for boys. I felt it better to go with a female tune on this one. Just rolls off the tongue better.
Okay. All right. So, for my name, Chai T, when I was in Japan, I actually took Tai Chi lessons. It was kind of monkey see, monkey do, because I didn't speak the language that well. So I made a play on that by flipping the consonant sounds. So Tai Chi, Chai T. Also, when I go to coffee houses, I always get Chai Tea. So. All right, Sunnier, how about you?
Let's see. Ever since I started blogging, Sunnier has pretty much been the name of all my current mains. So originally it belonged to my druid, and now my monk has stolen it. And I originally picked that name just because I love sun motifs in general. And I wanted a name that's also easy for other people to remember, since Sunnier is actually like an English word. You can look it up in the dictionary. But it's also an uncommon enough word that it's not taken on every other server.
All right. So, Air, first of all, Daikatsu, does that actually mean thunderous voice?
I will have to ask my wife. She does a lot better studying Japanese than I do.
Okay. I hope it's not anything too offensive, really. All right, Air, how'd you get your name?
Well, when I was in Keta, I had a pally named Avior, which is a star, which I felt was pretty good. So all my characters then have ever since then have had an A for the first letter. So one mop dropped, rolled a monk, had some other name, but when I switched to the CTR server, Airy Peak, I decided to go with a play on the word air. I'm a windwalker, I fight with fists, and there's air walking going on, so I just took air, changed IR to YR, and with the help of a GM who was very fair, I was able to get the name.
And quite a following, too, because Naoyuki, I understand you have something to show the audience.
I don't know. What is that? I think that's Air Monk's #1
collector's item.
fan.
Woo!
Yes.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
All right. Well, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and summon some elemental spirits and go into
Storm, Earth, and Fire.
So, Storm, Earth, and Fire is where we talk about our monks and our raiding progression. So, I'll start off with myself and Daikatsu. We're both on the same raid team, rolling Thunder on Airy Peak US. Right now, we actually progressed 2 bosses in one night, so we downed both Iron Quan and the twins in one night. I'm very happy about that. We worked on Lei Shen last night for the full raid time, and we're getting to phase 3 sometimes. We always get past the first intermission.
We're getting there.
Yep.
That bastard ain't going to be up much longer.
No, we're going to definitely get ahead of the curve, thankfully. So we have until... Well, we'll talk about that later. All right. Now, Yuki, how is 26 Gold doing?
We're still trying to get through the council. I think we have Jinrock and Hordon almost on farm. Well, actually, last night we had a new strategy on Hordon, and now we should be on farm status. As far as council, we're still trying to figure out the mechanics and the raid group and all that. And plus, one of our main healers will be out for 8 weeks.
Ooh.
He got injured at work and needs surgery, so hopefully it gets better.
Oh, best of luck to him. We wish him
hoping
well.
he does well.
Yeah. And we'll have some tips for council for you later. All right. And Air, how is the Salad Senate doing?
Well, we reset again. I think ours are finally our last reset going into a fresh TOT, and pushed all the way up through Duramu, which is pretty nice. So this week we will start again on maybe take an old Lakawachi-kun, but going through Duramu and pushing as hard as possible to get that ahead of the curve achievement for everyone before 5-4 drops in. Hopefully not just a couple weeks.
So how is Darumu in 25-man?
You know, when the night we were raiding it, actually, I was on my own little adventure, so I was not able to partake in that. But I hear there's a lot going on.
Well, have fun with that. Sunir, how's your raid team going?
I hardly want to talk about it.
Uh-oh.
We've spent the last 2 weeks getting very close on Heroic Lei Shen, but we had to call it quits and take a break for the next few weeks because our disc priest selfishly abandoned us for his honeymoon.
What?
And so hopefully by the time he comes back, we'll have a couple days for the patch drops and we could sneak a kill in.
What
How
the?
dare he?
Seriously? For
I know.
Heroic Lei Shen versus... God,
Does he not understand achievements?
apparently not.
I know, you can go travel to the Bahamas anytime. This is only 3 weeks left.
Yeah, the Bahamas
Exactly.
is like right over there.
All
I'm
right.
not sure where he went.
Well, let's hurl a keg of our finest brew and get into...
Dizzying Haze.
All right, and this is where we get into some WoW news, and we got some big stuff today. Trying to keep you informed and up to speed, so the first item on our agenda. We pretty much have a confirmed release date for 5.4. Pretty close. As
All but chiseled.
right. So August 27th is what we're looking at. The PvP season ends August 27th. The last 3 patches, all patches in this expansion, have ended or have dropped when the PvP season ended. So, and one of the PvP devs confirmed that when the season ends, that's when the patch hits. So we're pretty darn sure it's August 27th. We know it won't be before then, and like 99% chance it's on the 27th, but it could always be pushed back. So, any reactions out there? What do we think?
That's more or less when I was expecting it.
Yeah.
They're obviously winding down on the patch. Just number changes are going in now. And they've done most testing. They haven't done 25, but they've done, I think, all of 10, and that seems to be all that Blizzard really cares about. So
Yeah, and they did test
obviously it was
Flex
going to happen
too.
soon. That's right.
So, all right. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah,
It does seem a little quick, I guess. I mean, they just got done tweeting that you should start saving for Valor now, so if you're going in with 0 Valor, does that give you enough time to Valor cap before the patch hits?
No. You get 2K.
Yeah, so
almost.
it's like super tight. And with this, hopefully the number passes for everything seem to come quicker than they have been. But it does seem like it's going to be, maybe another week would be nice, just to relax, slow down. You know, that kind of
I would
stuff.
like to take Labor Day off. That would be nice. I don't know if that's going to happen, though. All right, Duke, what do you think?
I think that we're going to start seeing RC patches on the PTR this week, probably Thursday or Friday. I'm pretty sure they're done with just about everything. Testing still has to happen. I know that usually for heroic testing, they do about half to 3/4 of the raid, so we should see that scale up probably over the weekend. Flex turned on over this past weekend for people to jump on there and test. So, yeah, August 27th sounds like a good date. They should have pretty much everything ironed out by then.
All right. Now, Yuki, got anything?
Well, earlier today I thought it was going to be a week after the 27th because of the arena season, and I always assumed it was a week after.
I did too.
But yeah, according
It
to
used
Row,
to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, it used to
Row
be,
WoW
but
has
according
put
to
me in
Row-
my place.
yeah, it's for the last, I don't know, 2-3 patches has been on the same exact day as the arena season, so I'm going to say August 27th and pray to the WoW gods that Titan Runestones have a higher drop rate.
Yeah, you're not the only
Well,
one.
good news on that. Good news on that. You're going to be able to get Titan runestones. You're going to get the secrets. You're going to get the sigils that you need from the first 8 bosses in Siege of Orgrimmar. So
Yep.
you'll still be able to get all of that running your LFR. You'll go up from 12 to almost 20 chances.
And that's LFR and Flex rate?
Both Flex Rate is going to have the chance. Yeah, they're saying the first 8 bosses in Siege of Orgrimmar are going to have the chance to drop all of the legendary stuff.
Oh, that'll be good. They'll help.
0.001%.
Yeah. You're getting .002 now, thank God. All right. So the dev water coolers came out earlier this week as well, and so they went through each class and were trying to explain their reasoning behind the changes they made. So I want to go over the monk really quick. So I'm just going to read this verbatim. There will be a link in the show notes that'll show where that dev water cooler was if you want to read the rest of the classes. I don't know why you would. There's a monk meditation after all. But earlier in the PTR cycle, we attempted to solve Mistweaver mana problems, by which I mean Mistweavers didn't have to stack spirit to the extent other healers did. We became concerned that it would take quite a number of changes to solve this problem, resulting in a lot of relearning for players. So we agreed to accept the current status quo and balance Mistweavers around the fact that they have less spirit, and therefore more of other secondary stats compared to other healers. For Windwalkers, we redesigned their mastery, yet again, and buffed the Storm, Earth, and Fire abilities so that the cleave aspect of the cooldown would feel really potent. Brewmasters were in pretty good shape, but we did feel like Keg Smash made their damage too high compared to other tanks. Several Monk's talents were underpowered or difficult to use. We buffed Chi Brew, Zen Sphere, Power Strikes, and Healing Elixirs. We made Juen easier to control by providing him with a true pet bar. We changed Chi Burst to require no target. Ring of Peace has a better visual that's more representative of the affected area, and we tweaked its numbers. We didn't think we could solve Rushing Jade Wind's problems, namely that it was too similar to Chi Burst, so we redesigned it as a replacement for Spinning Crane Kick. And we'll go over all of those changes here soon in the next section. So that's it for the news. But don't worry, guys. We still have tons to cover in tonight's episode. So with that being said, let's pummel into some rapid strikes with...
Fists of Fury.
Whoops.
Fists of Fury.
Yes, we know. Thank you. All right, so this is where to discuss rating tips on how to beat those nasty bosses. So this week, we're going to talk about 3 fights, because we know that the patch is ending soon, so we need to get through some of these. So we're going to talk about normal mode fights, Council of Elders, Tordos, and Megara. So I know now Yuki said that you guys were stuck on Council, so let's give you some advice. Let's talk about how to tank this fight. Council of Elders. Sunir, what do you do for that fight?
Well, there's not much to worry about from the Brewmaster point of view. Pretty much the only thing you need to watch out for is the Frost King Malak's Frigid Assault. That's his ability that buffs his melee attacks so that they hit harder and apply a debuff as they land. In general, whenever you see an attack that buffs melee swings, that means it's time to pop Elusive Brew, and this is no exception. Also related to that attack is if your co-tank is slow on taunts, because you have to taunt before 15 stacks, sometimes you can also kite around with Transcendence and Roll and Tiger's Lust and avoid some stacks.
Okay, that's a good tip. All right, for Windwalkers, what do you think, Air? Council of Elders, Windwalkers.
Well,
there you go.
Yeah. Sorry. This is a cool fight, and that we can really make good use out of our Storm, Earth, and Fire ability. As long as your Raidler's cool with it, you don't need the single target burning. If you guys are doing pretty well with that, getting him down, split yourself up. Put yourself on Soul so it can help with interrupts. Put a clone on Malak. Put a clone on Marley. And keep doing that. When Blanca empowers, switch off one of the other guys, rotate, and follow him around because you got the awesome movement ability with Flying Serpent Kick, with Roll. Use your talents, get Celerity or Tiger's Lust going, and you can really get a lot of time on that. While you are on Blanca, make sure you're popping Touch of Karma, Diffuse Magic, Fortifying Brew. Help, if you're getting the procs you want and you're really burning them good, you're going to be taking a lot of damage from his reflecting ability. So help your healers out a little bit. And the last thing I can think of is Leg Sweep can help stun lowest spirits if he's getting close. Hopefully not too far away from whatever you're doing, but if you need to help in an emergency situation, spec in the Leg Sweep and see if you can help out there too.
Absolutely. All right. Now, Yuki, you're covering this one for Council of Elders. What's the Mistweaver turn?
Like Air just said, Leg Sweep is a talent you want to get to help with the lowest spirits. You want to use Dampen Harm is the most useful out there, as there's no predictable magic damage. But it might actually be better for a Mistweaver to use Healing Elixirs, because you get a free heal every time Mana Tea is spent. So that might help if your team is hurting. There's not much for healers to worry about this fight, as far as I know. Just Mistweave the entire fight. Dispel the magic effect and Trapped as quick as you can. It's a 30-second root in Quicksand that people will get from time to time, and if you don't dispel it, they will die quickly. Revival for Sandstorms. Once again, arrange a cooldown with your other healers, so you're not overlapping each other. Another thing that works for lowest spirits I've noticed is Disable. You could use that as well.
Absolutely.
Duke, do you have any other tips?
Oh, there's 2 abilities that look very familiar that come out of Frost King Malak. One of them is Frostbite,
I think,
Frostbite?
and Fighting Cold.
Yeah, frostbite and biting cold. They visually they both look the same. With frostbite, you want to hug that person as hard as you can so that the damage is less. With biting cold, you want to shun that person to the other side of the room because they're a bad person, and that's why they got it.
Timeout. They need a timeout.
They need a timeout. That's pretty much it from the healer perspective. This is, as far as healing go, this is a very predictable fight. The damage that comes out is pretty constant. The only thing you have to worry about is sand. And once you have Sewell down, the fight becomes miles easier. Mm-hmm. It's not even on par with what it was before. At that point, tank, spank, heal, you're done.
Yeah, this is one of the fights in here that actually get easier as you go on, which I love. You have that high stress right at the beginning, and then you just get to chill and do your thing. All right, let's move on to Tordos. So there's three different ways to tank this fight. So how do you want to start, Sunir?
Well, the most common thing that brewmasters are going to do in this fight is they're going to tank the bats. If you're flat out face tanking them, then try to build up shuffle on the boss as much as possible beforehand, and save some chi so that when they land you can have guard up, and then pop some elusive brew, and that will very much reduce that initial burst that tends to kill people. To pick up those ads, rushing Jadewind is very good if they tend to be far away, and also charging Oxwave, which will stun them and can often save a healer's life. The next strategy, which is much more common on heroic, but I've seen some people use it on normal, so whatever, is kiting the bats. And for that it's going to be similar. You want rushing Jadewind for ranged pickup and charging Oxwave to stun any bats that land far away, and Tiger's Lust just to sprint as far away from them. And I have a pretty detailed guide up on my blog about that, since it's a very common strategy. So if you're having trouble with it, you can check out the link later.
Yep, we'll have that in the show notes. So the other thing you might have to do is tank Tordos, and just pray to the monk gods you never have to do so. That is an incredibly boring fight. You basically stand on one paw and beat on him, and the only things you have to pay attention to is you have to make sure to watch your healing aggro when the bats come down, because if 2 or 3 bats peel off onto you, you can be in trouble. If you get under 35% health, you're going down. So pay attention, watch when those are coming down. Don't heal yourself if you don't have to. Watch for the cave in. What's it called?
Quick stop.
No, the blue circles.
The falling rocks.
Yeah, whatever the falling rocks are.
Yeah,
watch out for blue circles. Don't get in those. So there's 2 different talents you can take to help out. You can either take Diffuse Magic to help with those cave-ins, because you will be taking magic damage for that. But I prefer to take Dampen Harm, because if you pop that as a Quake Stop happens, you take significantly less damage. And so you're going to save your healers a lot of mana trying to keep you up. And especially if you have bats coming at you, you definitely want to stop yourself from taking that much damage straight up. So, and that's it for Brewmasters. Windwalker, what do you think for Tordos? What do you do on this one?
Well, it's for talents, I'm usually making sure I have Diffuse Magic up, speccing into Russian Jadewind, and when the Quake Stops happen, you're going to want to alternate usage of Touch of Karma and Diffuse Magic. They're on pretty opposite cooldowns, which is nice because you can basically have one of those up for every single Quake Stop, which can save you a ton of damage and really help your healers out.
The other option for that is, like I said before, take Dampen Harm.
Sorry, I meant Dampen Harm.
Oh, did you? Well, Diffuse Magic works too, actually, because you can avoid a lot of those cave-ins. And that can be really challenging when you're up smacking on the boss and you're just dodging back and forth with all those cave-ins. That has killed me more than once. So both are valid strategies. I prefer the Dampen Harm method because you can alternate those cooldowns and you take hardly any damage whatsoever.
Yeah, and so I do use Dampen Harm because I like especially for Quake Stomp, it does reduce a lot of the damage you take from that big hit. And you just got to be really careful of where you're walking along the ground. Hopefully you're going to be on back duty during the fight, because the AoE that Windwalkers provide is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I like to do is actually, with enough time, is split yourself up. Use Storm, Earth, and Fire. Send yourself out to 2 bats, put yourself on a third, apply your Tiger's Palm, apply your kick, jab a couple times, hit the Russian Jade Wind, and start spinning. And even though you're losing a bit of that first spin time, the overall damage, depending on how fast the bats stay up for your particular team, can be make them go down a lot faster than they would otherwise. So I do like doing that. Now, one of the things when you're doing this, if you happen to get a rune proc, if you're lucky enough to have it, if you're lucky enough, if you happen to hit the bats a little bit early, make sure you're speccing into your Glyph of Retreat while we still have it. Because what it does is it takes away all your aggro for 10 seconds. So roll your way to the bats. Hit them like crazy. If you happen to pick up aggro Gren, roll away, come on back, and it saves you from pulling aggro off the tanks, especially when you get those massive damage moments.
Yeah, I have died more than once to those bats as Windwalker as well. You can pull aggro really quick.
Yes.
All right, for Mistweavers for Tordos, what do you got, Duke?
I love this fight as a Mistweaver. It was on CTR this past week that they did the little sounder, and you hear, Stug just running around as his Druid healer, just hot instants. It's a great fight for Mistweavers because all of our casts are instants. Those turtles running around aren't really going to interrupt you. Quake Stomp happens every 45 seconds. Thunder Focus T has a 45-second cooldown. I don't think that's an accident. Use Thunder Focus T every single cooldown. Make sure that you have as many renewing mists out there on people. Here's what you're going to do. Chi Brew. You want to spec into Chi Brew. It's got a 1.5-minute cooldown. During one Quake Stomp, you're going to hit your uplift twice, Chi Brew, 2 more uplifts. Everyone's fine. On the other one, you're going to want to take care of yourself with Dampen Harm, like everyone else has said here. You don't want to cast it as it's coming out. You want to hit it just before Quake Stomp hits. And then suddenly you've got nothing to take care of. And what you're going to do is just do 2 uplifts to make sure everyone else is okay, and your other healers should be able to pick up the slack from there. You want to use Revival if everyone is low. Generally, Revival is more powerful the lower on health people are, so if everyone's hovering at about 50%, start to think about using it. Use it before everyone dies, obviously. It's a great way to just kind of reset health and say, okay, everyone gets a do-over. And since it's a very movement-heavy fight, you want to make sure that Renewing Mist is out there as often as you can. Expel Harm is out there as often as you can to heal yourself. Use Soothing Mist to channel. Use Expel Harm to generate chi on the move. And if you're near the bats, use Spinning Crane Kick to help out on the bats and give yourself some additional chi, which you will just pump into uplift after uplift after uplift. And that's pretty much how to heal it.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's move on to Megara. Oh, this one stumps a lot of teams for a while. Once you get it down, though, it's fine. We're not going to go into the rotations because that is very team dependent. It's going to be based on your makeup. So let's just go over tips and tricks for each spec to see what we can do. So for Brewmaster, what do we got, Sunir?
Well, pretty much all of the dangerous damage here is magical. So this is the perfect opportunity to equip all of your standard magic tools like Glyph of Guard and Diffuse Magic. Zen Meditation is also tremendously useful for mitigating the higher stack breath attacks. In most cases, you can't have a cooldown up for every single breath, but you can save up on Gift of the Ox Orbs and some of the Healing Spheres, which we rarely use as Brewmasters, but this fight's great for it. Just drop those at your feet, and then once you know something you don't have a cooldown for, you run over them, and you won't take any damage, or it seems like you don't take damage. And then finally, Transcendence was made for this fight. You're constantly porting back and forth, and this Transcendence or this fight actually gives you a lot of opportunity to use the second teleport of Transcendence, which is usually not very common. So it's a lot of fun. And that makes my third... so the 3 glyphs that you want to use are Guard, Transcendence, because you're going to be using it a lot, and Glyph of Enduring Healing for those healing spheres to keep them up longer so you can save them.
Yeah, those are
That's
2 glyphs we normally don't use, and so it's nice that they're putting fights in that force us to actually use the glyph in the talent system, which I really enjoy that. All right, so for Windwalkers on this fight, few different tips are. There's a few different ways to do it. The way I like to do it is when I'm hit with cinders, if there's a lot of the frost crap on the floor, I like to hit Touch of Karma as soon as I get that on the boss, and that gives me a good long while to actually go run and clear up the frost before I get dispelled. Another tip I like to use is remember that diffuse magic, you need to watch out for this. A lot of people will be like, oh shoot, I've got cinders on me, hit diffuse magic so I'm taking less damage. That pops it off and drops cinders right at your feet. So be wary of that. Don't do it unless you want to. If your healer is dead or your healer is otherwise occupied, you can use diffuse magic to drop cinders where you're supposed to be dropping it. So if your healers are busy, just let them know, hey, I'll take care of myself. You go diffuse magic and get back into the fight. So what else you got for us, Air?
Well, I agree with Sunny here. Using Transcendence is really helpful for the monks in this. Just porting back and forth, it saves you time. It is still really easy to flying serpent kick around, to roll, so Transcendence is just a little bit faster, which is, it's nice to get out of the poo if you happen to be standing in it as well. I'd still go back and forth between using Chi Wave and Chi Burst on this fight, depending on how we are for healing. Chi Burst will give you a little bit extra healing overall, especially if everyone is stacked up really well. And you position yourself behind them enough where you can actually, send the ball through them. You do lose a bit of the DPS though, because Chi Wave is such an inherent part of a rotation now. But you do need to help with the healing overall, just for a little bit in emergencies. It's nice to get a Hadouken out there every now and then and help out the raid team. The other thing is that Zen Meditation, this is actually quite useful. It's nowhere near the raid cooldown status that we would kind of like it to be, but it can help a little bit in a rampage. And I actually like, if I can use it at an earlier rampage and save it for near the end of the fight, because my particular team, we just do, we alternate red and green, get 1 blue in. So by the end, you get a lot of these poison bombs coming in. And people are going down, people are dropping. The Zen Med can actually save you from poison bomb damage and save a lot of your teammates too. So that is really helpful in case you got the big melee group stacked up. Pop Zen Med, absorb that, and hopefully they'll give you enough time to get the boss down without taking any more of those bombs. Right. So, and in case of the emergency, popping Touch of Karma during a rampage, popping Diffuse Magic during a rampage is very helpful. And again, if you have them off of cooldown, save it for near the end when you're getting all those poison bombs, and you can take considerably less damage too.
Absolutely. All right, Duke, Mistweaving on this fight. This one's a lot of movement as well, so should be fun. What you got for us?
It's a lot of movement, but as a Mistweaver, you do have the option to go fist weaving on this one for some of the earlier phases. Once you get past the 3rd rampage, at that point, you're pretty much stuck to a ranged healer. So for the first couple of heads, get in there, get some good punches, and help out a little bit on the DPS. It's not much, but the faster you can get to the later rampages, the better off you're going to be. Diffuse Magic is fantastic as a self cooldown during Rampage. It really does reduce everything. It also helps you get through the ice and all of that other fun stuff, the fire, the poison bombs. It's a floor-laden fight. You got to constantly watch your feet. For Rampage, typically if you're 10-man, you're running 3 healers. If you're running 25-man, you're running 6 healers. Everyone should be assigned a Rampage before you start. Once you come up on your rampage, you're going to use the same trick we did on Tordos. You're going to make sure that Renewing Mist is up on everyone in your team, or as many people as possible. You can hit all 10 people in 10 man. You can sometimes do about 14 to 15 if you're really watching your cooldowns on 25 man. Uplift, Chi Brew, 2 more uplift, spinning crane kick to help out, and you should be good. You should be able to get off at least 1 or 2 more uplifts before it's done. The other thing is Zen meditation. Do Zen meditation when there's about 8 seconds left, and it'll basically take the last few hits, redirect it to you, and it helps out your healing, especially if it's not your cooldown. Now you have some other tips to talk about.
Your mic's muted, man.
Sorry about that. But like you were saying earlier, discuss a cooldown rotation with your other healers for revival. If you have rushing Jadewind talent, make sure to use it during the rampage, because that's when it'll be needed the most. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Chi Torpedo with Celerity, but this isn't really a high movement fight unless you're switching heads. So it's better to go with the rushing Jadewind setup and to generate Chi and to buff up your spinning crane kick to generate Chi for your uplifts.
All right, so we just went over 3 different fights for you guys in the Throne of Thunder. For all of you monks out there, that should help out if your team is having problems with those. And so let's now keep you up and about with Uplift.
Uplift.
This is where we try to lift you up as the sky falls while keeping you posted with the recent changes to the PTR. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, our friends Pat Crane and Coltrane have a little message for you.
Hi, I'm Coltrane.
And I'm Pat Crane.
And we are here today to talk to you about an ongoing issue.
It's an issue that affects most of us, especially warlocks.
It's a condition called IFO-WIS-PTRN. I freak out when I see PTR notes.
That's right, Colt, and it affects 1 in 5 Azerothians.
That's a pretty scary statistic, Pat. Almost as scary as that time I thought Blizzard was removing Blink for mages.
Ha! That's right. You really freaked out there. Like, really freaked out.
I wet'ems, Pat. And I have the stain to prove it.
A badge of honor.
We at the Let's Not Freak Out About the PTR Society are looking to help you.
Bring us your tired, your poor, your tanks upset about vengeance.
We can provide the support and care you need to move on from those patch notes and get on with your life.
This is Timmy. He was a warlock upset about the removal of Kil'jaeden's cunning. And, well, let's let him tell the story.
I was first upset when I read the patch notes. Now, thanks to the LNFOAT PTRS, I no longer want to burn my loins with green fire and poop everywhere.
Thank you, Timmy.
And thank you for not pooping.
If you have a loved one who may be suffering or find yourself with these symptoms, please call us.
1-800-CALM-THE-F-DOWN. Operators are standing by.
Call today. I'm not just a founder, but a member as well.
Right, like when you read Blizzard was removing the classic Druid tree form.
Oh, Coltrane, you just had to bring this up now, didn't you?
Call 1-800-CALM-THE-F-DOWN. That's 1-800-CALM-THE-F-DOWN. Or visit your nearest LNFAOT PTRS center today.
Burn with fire and poop everywhere!
All right, so let's remember 1-800-CALM-THE-F-DOWN when we're doing this. All right. So let's go over some PTR changes. Now, Proving Grounds has been out for a couple of weeks, but we haven't had a good chance to talk about it. So who all in here has actually done Proving Grounds?
I've done some.
All right. Duke has, and Sonia has. Air, have you got in there yet?
No, not yet.
All right.
Gonna hit it fresh when the patch finally drops.
Yeah, that's the way I do it too. I like to experience all this stuff and only want to do it once. per character. All right, now Yuki, have you got any chance in there?
No, I haven't stepped into the PTR. I guess I'm old school. I don't like ruining anything.
No, I'm with you,
or
brother.
doing it twice.
All right. All right, so how far have you gotten in there, Sunnier?
I was almost done with gold before my add-ons crashed my game horribly, and I was frustrated.
Oh, no.
But and that's a very common problem for me on the PTR because I can't play without my weak auras, and they're hella broken right now. But I think it's it's a lot of fun, and I really can't wait for it to go live because I really need something like that to test right now. And it tests a lot of skills that are very useful in 5-mans, like positioning and ad pickup. They actually have like line of sight mechanics. You don't want to line of sight your healers or your DPS. Watching where you position the mobs, and some kind of basic like boss mechanics where you have to there's kind of a dance you have to do. But it's looking pretty good. Right now it's kind of unbalanced because the Vengeance nerfs made it much harder than it was before, but we'll see. Hopefully that gets fixed soon.
All right, and Duke, you got any comments on Proving Grounds from what you've done?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the healer challenges. Bronze one's kind of easy. It's 5 waves. Ads come out. Silver is 8 waves. There you're starting to use more ideas. I think I dabbled in gold for like 30 seconds and then I had to go. But they really added some nice touches to it. In particular, as a healer, if you miss a debuff and an explosion goes off, the little robots start yelling at you and say, "Hey, healer, pay attention." It's fantastic. It's just like being in a real LFD.
So all that needs to happen is you to get vote kicked, and then it's the experience is gold.
God, could you imagine getting vote kicked out of a solo scenario? Like at that point, it's like, okay, delete, format C. I'm done with this. I'll never touch a computer again. Once you've done gold, at that point you can unlock endless mode. It goes up to 30 waves. You get an achievement every 10 waves. If you do all 30 waves, you get a title: the Proven Healer, the Proven Assailant, or the Proven Defender. So for people out there applying to future raids, have this showing so that they know you did it, because they're probably going to end up asking for it.
All new people in Rolling Thunder, you have to have this title or kicking your ass out.
Yeah,
just kidding. Or am I? All right, well, let's move on to some of the talent. Oh, you got something else, Duke?
No. That's pretty much it. Other than that, it was just fun.
All right. I look forward to actually trying it out. Maybe I'll get all 3 titles. That should be fun. All right. Invoke Zhuan. Talent changes in the PTR. Sky is falling. All right. So as we discussed, Zen has a pet bar now. He also has changed a little of what he does. He now takes every second up from every 6 seconds. So he'll actually do a little bit more AoE damage, I think. A little bit more steady, anyways. And you can now cancel him, which is nice. And no longer lists a base damage. So what do you think about these changes there?
It'll definitely help with keeping him controlled with the pet bar, and if any kind of buff to him is nice. I mean, right now he's there. He looks pretty. He adds a little bit, but it's just, it's nice to kind of make him a little bit more powerful, make him matter that much more, I think.
Okay. All right, so Ring of Peace now silences and disarms for 4 seconds, up from 3, and we also heard that it has a new graphic. I think this is definitely a PvP change. I know this is a talent that PvP players have complained about. Olivia DeGrace hates this ability, very much so. So hopefully this will help them out a little bit. But it's nice to have a little bit longer disarm for the PvE content. I do enjoy that. Any comments on that one?
Yeah, I mean, 1 second is, I think, better than 3, obviously, because if you're on Hordon, either normal or heroic, when you're fighting Jalek, disarm is a 45-second cooldown, and you want that Ring of Peace in between, otherwise the tank will get smacked around. So 1 more second to get him down quicker. I like it.
All right, and so now we've got a very interesting change. Rushing Jade Wind. This one's being completely reworked. It was too similar to Chi Burst, and so they've reworked it. So now it's kind of a tornado that will encircle you, and you'll still have the ability to continue your rotation during it. They nerfed it a little bit, so now it's been nerfed to 60% of the damage of a normal spinning crane kick, the damage and healing. But they just today increased the time. Instead of 4 seconds, it'll be 6 seconds. So it's the same damage, just spread out a little bit more. So they're trying to make it more of a sustained AOE, which I actually like. I like that change. Sunyer, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, we're in that phase in the PTR. We're going to see a lot of number changes, and this is just one of those things. It's still, like, even no matter how many nerfs it takes, it'll still probably keep the spot of being our best sustained AoE damage talent, simply because it's sort of like free damage. You get to keep keg smashing in between. And so you shouldn't really be concerned about any nerfs, at least from the Brewmaster perspective.
Yeah, I like that this is making this talent a viable option. It gives you a choice. It says, okay, are you on an AoE fight? Go Rushing Jade Wind. Are you on a single target fight? Go Zhen. So I like that they're giving us this choice, this flexibility. Air, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Sunnier for us Windwalkers. You know, the way it applies to AoE fights. Before the 60% nerf, it was ridiculously powered. I'm not going to say OP, because with a monk, nothing can be OP.
No, nothing.
But it was really cool to see the damage, especially to be able to keep your rotation. After the change, according to preliminary numbers, people said it was still an overall buff to an AoE fight situation, so that was nice. Now with this new news in the last 2 more seconds, that's just fun. I mean, I'm looking forward to a lot of these AoE fights that are coming up in Siege of Orgrimmar.
Yeah, I'm a little confused on how our AoE rotation's going to go, because back when Spinning Crane Kick took over, you couldn't do anything else. It made your AoE rotation incredibly easy. Spinning Crane Kick, Spinning Crane Kick, Spinning Crane Kick, Tiger Palms, Rising Sun Kick, Spinning Crane Kick. And now it's kind of like, okay, Rushing Jade Wind, normal rotation on one guy, and Rushing Jade Wind is so it's
you're gonna want to just keep it in there sometimes in place of jab. You're just gonna be losing one chi one chi instead of 2 for your jab. But so you just give me some way to optimally work that in. But it's essentially gonna from when I've tested a little bit, because I try not to spend too much time on there, but when I hear other people say, it just kind of works like that.
Okay. All right. Well, it'll be fun to play around and get a new AoE rotation going in there. All right. So, Gift of the Serpent. Now we'll give a 10% chance to summon a healing sphere with a 30-second duration. It was 60, so nerf on the healing spheres. Whoop-de-doo?
Not really. The healing spheres actually coming out at 30 seconds help you out a little bit more. The main reason is because very few people run into it. It's like Lightwell's unknown lesser brother. If it explodes, that tends to lessen it. That tends to up your chances for healing. I've been actually playing around with Glyph of the Glyph of the Enduring Healing Sphere in order to try and leave it out there for 3 minutes and hope to God that somebody runs it over by mistake. And so far, it seems to be healing a little bit more. So I don't think the 30-second duration down from 60 is going to be that big a deal. No one's going to notice because no one uses it.
Okay. All right. Well, here's the big thing that's happening. So not just happening to Brewmasters, but happening to every tank out there. Vengeance is getting hit with the big ol' Nerf bat. So each time you take damage, you now gain 1.5%, down from 1.8%, of the unmitigated damage taken as attack power for 20 seconds. And this is designed according to Blue Post or a blue tweet, I guess. The intent is anytime you tank more than one thing, you get less per target. Still more vengeance overall. So let me tank all that should never be a strategy because of mitigation or DPS increases. Should be to save non-tanks. So in brief, you will get 1 divided by n of the full vengeance when hit by the mob within 5 seconds who has the nth highest DPS. This n will be recalculated each time you get hit. So for example, you're taking 3 mobs. One is the boss, and the other 2 are mobs. Boss has 1.5 million DPS. One mob has 400k, the other has 300k. I'm guessing that's 1.5 million health? I don't know. The system will now sort these mobs.
It's based on their DPS.
Oh, it's based on their DPS. Okay. Will be sort these mobs by their DPS. So, the boss, 1.5 million DPS. You'll get 1 divided by 1, 100% of the full vengeance. The second mob that hits you only has 400k DPS, so you'll get 1/2 of the full vengeance. The second mob will have 300k DPS, so you get 1/3 of the full vengeance. So each mob that you have in that AoE, you're going to get less and less vengeance, diminishing returns essentially. So this is going to stop tanks from out DPSing me, which I'm happy about. Yay! All right, what do you think, Sunir?
Well, both of these nerfs, they're there to replace the previously suggested cap to vengeance that Ghostcrawler tweeted about a couple of weeks ago. The one that was based on max health and raid size. So you don't have to worry about that nerf anymore. These are the nerfs that you're gonna probably gonna go live. Both of them are designed to kind of discourage vengeance gaming, like single tanking fights that were designed to be multi-tanked, or soaking abilities that were meant to be avoided. The AoE vengeance, you'll notice a lot of you'll notice that nerf quite a bit, like in 5-mans and anywhere where you're tanking a lot of ads, because it's a pretty significant nerf, and it's probably justified just because vengeance in AoE fights was very ridiculous. The second type the one that's just a flat out nerf, 1.8 to 1.5%, will result in about a 20% loss of attack power. And the biggest thing you're going to notice is less single target DPS. And these types of nerfs really suck, but you have to remember that it's a lot healthier for the game when tanks don't significantly out DPS full-time damage dealers. So you just kind of have to take one for the team, and don't be too sad.
I think all DPSers will thank you for that. Yeah, because
There is one thing about vengeance that we haven't mentioned, and it's the fact that now tanks won't get vengeance from standing in the poop.
Yay!
Persistent floor effects no longer apply. So when your tank says, hold on, I'm going to go stand in that fire for a little bit to help me tank, and every healer goes, oh god, not again. That's not going to happen anymore. Your tank won't get benefit. If he's standing in the fire, it's because he's a dumbass.
Yeah, don't fool yourself. It's still going to happen. They'll die because you'll be like, all right, I'm not healing you. All right. So, any last thoughts on vengeance before we move on?
That's it.
Okay. All right. So, Mistweavers. Nerf Bat finally arrives. Revival healing reduced by 30%. So, a tweet went out to Ghostcrawler. So, what was the reasoning behind the nerf of Revival? Because it was instant, it was significantly better than Tranquility or Divine Hymn. It solved too many challenges easily. Yeah, duh. That's why we love it. So, all right, Duke, what do you think about this nerf?
You know, he's actually right. Ghostcrawler's actually right. Who knew? Let's talk some numbers. Right now, Revival is, as if you look at the formula on Wowhead, takes 13,684 and adds 500% of your spell power to it and says, okay, I'm going to heal everyone around me for that. Now, it's everyone for 100 yards. Tranquility right now is 9037 plus 83.5% of spell power, and then it adds a little bit more 4 more times over the 8-second channel. What that means is that we were pretty much healing triple what Tranquility would do over 8 seconds in an instant. And Tranquility actually has a heal cap. We would heal 5 people in 10 mans, 12 people in 25 mans, whereas Revival was heal everyone, heal all 10 people, heal all 25 people. Divine Hymn, as far as a pure output, is still the highest, but we used to do about 75% of Divine Hymn. Now we're down to about 50% of Divine Hymn, but we're still double Tranquility. So as far as an instinct goes, we're right up there. It's not really that big a hit. And, the numbers that I just gave you, the double and all of that, is if you have about 30,000 spell power, which anyone raiding in Tot probably has close to that amount.
And that's only going to go up in Siege of Orgrimmar, so we would just continue to outperform. So it's a nerf that has to happen, but still, monk power! God, we rock! Just 30% less now. But still.
And don't forget, it still cleanses people. It still cleanses you, people of everything. Tranquility doesn't do that. Divine Hymn doesn't do that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's still a damn good cooldown.
Yep. All right, now Yuki, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, this is a monk show. Monks should be number one on top of everybody. Just number one. Just leave it alone. It's perfect the way it is. 30%. I mean, it's not much, but man, I like being number one.
I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it. Problem is, it was broke. But we're just going to pretend
it wasn't broke. I only had a 1 mil crit on Revival. That's nothing. Come on.
All right, so let's talk Storm, Earth, and Fire. This one got buffed. No more nerf bat. We got the buff bat. So it now deals 75% damage, up from 60% with 1 spirit summon, and 60% up from 45% with 2 spirit summoned. So that's going to do the math. You're going to be doing 180% normal damage with 2 of them up.
Originally 2, we were doing 115%. 45. Oh wait. Something ridiculous. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Something crazy big. Yeah.
130% at 2 spirits.
Yes, 130 at 2, 180 at 3, and that is a glorious thing.
Yeah, I was told there would be no math.
Smile. It's.
Yeah.
I like Storm, Earth, and Fire a lot. I try to use it as much as possible.
Yep. I just added a mouse over macro on it. Now I'm using it a lot more. So that
helps a ton. Use your weak auras, go to Curse, get the Storm, Earth, and Fire add-on to help track what it's on and what you're on and things like that. But that is really cool. I am concerned that Ghostcrawler, in his talking about at the beginning of the segment, when he was talking about the different class changes, said he referred to Storm, Earth, and Fire as a cooldown ability. So I'm hoping that it was just stress-based memory loss, something like that. But I really hope that he doesn't honestly think that's a cooldown.
It would be nice if we could automate Storm, Earth, and Fire a little bit more, having to burn 2 global cooldowns to get our spirits out.
Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah, I wish there was a way that you can set up to say, okay, send 2 of them out if I've got 2 targets in front of me or something like that. That'd be nice.
Even if it's just taking off the global cooldown rotation itself, just make it completely instant, hit, done, you're good to go.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic.
That'd be nice. All right, so Glyph of Targeted Expulsion now causes Expel Harm to heal for 50% as much as when used on other targets. What do you think about that? Does turn in Windwalkers into healers a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, head on, check it out.
All I'm going to say is that if you're a Mistweaver and you're looking at this going, that sounds pretty good. No, bad. Bad. Expel Harm belongs to you.
Yes.
It's a good way for you to heal yourself with a free global cooldown, costs very little mana, gives you chi. If you're starting to spit out Expel Harms to everybody, remember that it's going to cost as much as Jab, and Jab is freaking expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is designed mainly for Windwalkers to be used as emergency heals, and it's not going to heal that much. I think I'm healing myself, I think when I estimate it, for about 50 to 60k. No, it's significantly higher than that, isn't it?
It should be about a 5 to 6% heal.
Yeah.
And it crits is really nice too.
Oh yeah, when it crits, it's good. So I mean, but that's only doing 50% of that. So it's doing like 3% of your health, which is minuscule. So I don't know if this is ever going to be a glyph I'm going to take.
I mean, originally they're saying they want Windwalkers to heal in raids. That's one of the benefits they bring to the raid. That's said a long time ago. Maybe it doesn't mean anything now, but this is exactly the opposite of what they want to help with Windwalkers healing with. So I don't PvP all that much. I'm starting to try a little bit, but it seems like this would be something that you could use in PvP instances with grouping up with people and, you know, giving them some heals if they're taking damage and you're out of the fire.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it being PvP. I don't think this is going to be a PvE glyph I'm ever going to take, but you never know. Maybe there's a fight where we need it. So, all right, let's talk RPPMs, so real procs per minute. So, Trinket, Enchant, Set Bonus, and Legendary Meta Gem effects, whose triggered effects benefits from haste, no longer also have their chances to trigger the benefit from haste. So activation chances for those effects have been adjusted to compensate. So with the Meta Gem, and I know a number of our trinkets that we use benefit from this haste. And I know I run it like a 22% haste build, high haste. So it's this is going to be a slight nerf, I think, but we're going to have all new trinkets, so they're going to be balanced around that, so I'm not too worried about it. What do you think, Air?
Well, I mean, if you have Rune, haste is secondary to mastery,
Right.
so I mean, this entire tier, really, haste has been originally up to whatever was comfortable with energy, and after that, it was whatever we could have balancing it around Rune. So haste really has not been a big a deal for us at all. So we were never stacking haste. We were never doing anything like that to really take advantage of this. So really, I think it's just going to go. I mean, for me, I'm not really paying attention to it because it's never really affected me.
Yeah, well, without Rune of Origination like me, haste is kind of my primary stat until I hit about 22%, which is equal to global cooldown. So I know that this, if everything stayed constant, they just removed the haste cap, then that would, or the benefit from haste from the RPPMs, this would be a significant nerf for me. But since they're balancing everything, I don't think I'm too worried about it. All right. Those are the big PTR changes. I know there was a patch drop today. Was there anything new that we saw? I think we had everything in here.
Monk tier 15,
Oh, that's
Windwalker,
right.
tier 16 Windwalker pieces have been nerfed. The 2-piece is down a bit. The big change is in the 4-piece, you're going from every 4 Tiger's Eye Brew, your next Rise of Sun Kick, whatever, will take 1 less cheat every 10 used. So it's essentially useless now, I think. Every 45 seconds,
Yeah.
you get a free chi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's over the course of a long fight, it's going to save you a lot of chi, but I don't think chi pooling is that hard to do. So I don't think it's gonna be one of those things where I'm not gonna be too worried about the 4-piece bonus. The 2-piece looks kind of nice with the combo breaker. Oh wait, no. What's the 2-piece on this one?
The combo breaker was like 5-2, I believe, and we kind of hopefully we got rid of that. for the
Well,
most
no,
part.
I was thinking about no. There was something on combo breaker, like when you get the Tiger Palm and the blackout kick. When you use it, it generates something.
Yeah. Originally, as the damage of Tiger Palm by 50%, and combo breaker blackout kick increases the damage by 50%. That's been nerfed to 40% each.
Okay, so that's only increased damage. So I mean, the 2-piece is actually still going to be good. And so I think that's still going to be a useful 2-piece. It will increase your DPS, but it's kind of boring. There's nothing new, nothing flashy. So I'm not too thrilled with the tier 16. It looks awesome.
Typically, a tier P should be, I think I've been reading, roughly 2 to 3% damage increase when you get a set.
Yeah.
So I mean, tier piece 2 sounds like that. Maybe we're going to have to see a couple more numbers runs to see how the 4-piece changes.
Right. And there was a nerf to the legendary cloaks as well today, but they're still awesome, so not too much to worry about, I don't think. Let's see. And
Yeah, they dropped the damage from 40% to 20%, but they upped the procs per minute. So I think overall you're talking probably a slight nerf from what they were, but I don't think anyone's going to complain.
no, that's still an awesome legendary cloak, and I can't wait to get it. So, all right, any last thoughts on the PTR changes for now? I'm sure there will be more. All right.
Did we talk about Tiger Eye Brew grown from 3 chi to 4 chi?
Oh, yes, Air raged about that shortly. Just a little bit. So your mic's off, Air. So, yeah. Okay.
So and Tiger's Eye Brew is now back up to 4 chi versus 3 chi, but our mastery was compensated by 4%. So I guess overall the number should be roughly the same, but it does make us a little bit more RNG dependent because with the mastery, with the free Tiger's Eye stuff, so it's just like we're trying to get away from that. With Rune, it's very exciting or very boring, very happy, very sad, depending on what happens. So hopefully we can get off that RNG-based play style and just.
I'm looking
I'd
forward.
be happy back to the original stuff.
I'm looking forward to seeing what our mastery is going to be for 6.0. So. All right, so let's.
I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and swap our body and mind, body and spirits, and head on over to
Transcendence.
So here's where we discuss min-maxing, basically a 101 series where we'll be tackling guides on the specific spec for the week. We'll cover gearing, talents, playstyle, tips, and tricks. And this week, we go into Mistweaver. So, Duke, we're going to start with you.
All right. Mistweaver, obviously the best spec. There's two different ways that you can play as a Mistweaver. The first one is probably the one that everyone looked at and said, oh yeah, I'm playing that. It's called Fist Weaving. It's exactly what it sounds like. You deal damage, and your party members are so impressed by your sweet, sweet kung fu moves that they feel better having you along. I lost my place here. So, we're pretty much the only healer that can dedicate themselves to full melee DPS and still pump out heal. You get this through Eminence. Eminence right now gives you, as the monk, a static 25% area around you where you're going to heal the lowest person. You also get a 25% from wherever you place your statue. So the challenge to proper fist weaving is I got to put my statue down where people are going to be gathered. I need to be near other people, and then you do your very simple rotation. You want to start off with 2 jabs and then a blackout kick to get the buff that you get from that starts your healing on auto attacks, and then it's jab, tiger palm, jab, tiger palm, jab, tiger palm to maximize the use of muscle memory on a single target. If you've got 3 or more people, you want to use blackout kick instead. As far as gearing goes for fist weaving, you want to use a 2-hander over a 1-hander. For this tier, I believe the math that's been worked out was Suan Wo dropping from the twins is your best in slot. It's also an incredible mana drain. I mean, you're just going to suck that thing along. It's not going to last very far. Second type of healing is mist weaving, and that's going to be your standard. I'm standing in the back. The abilities that we've talked about before: renewing mist, expel harm, surging mist, which is a big heal and a chi generator. It just costs you a lot of mana. And then enveloping mist is wonderful if you're focused on single tank healing. Costs 3G, and it's a huge hot for 6 seconds. Big tip on mist weaving: renewing mist. Uplift. That's going to get you through 90% of your fights. Thunder Focus Tea to help out, get as many renewing mists out there. And don't forget to place your statue somewhere that makes sense, because whenever you do Soothing Mist, your statue is also going to do Soothing Mist for roughly the same to the lowest target around it. As far as tank cooldowns that you can use, we have a couple of really good ones. Life Cocoon is great. I call it the hamster ball because that's what it looks like. You encase your tank in a giant green ball. And then you have detox to cleanse diseases. And don't forget the biggest part of your mana regen is Mana Tea. You can glyph it to make it instant and consume 2 stacks, or you can keep it unglyphed and just channel your mana back. Now, how about you take us through the talents?
All right. For talents, you get your first one at level 15, which is pretty much the movement. Personally, I go with celerity, and I'll cover that in a little bit on why I choose that. At level 30, you get your second tier. You can either choose Chi Wave or Chi Burst. Chi Burst does more healing, and in 5.4, you don't need a target to cast it. Chi Wave has a smaller cooldown, but bounces 7 times, and which is good for non-stacking fights on 10-man. At Tier 3, which is level 45, is your Chi Enhancement. You either want to go with Ascension or Chi Brew. Duke likes Chi Brew. I personally like Ascension. 15% more mana, 5 Chi. It's easier for me to mess with my Chi a little bit more, but the Chi Brew gives you 4 instant Chi every minute and a half, which is also good for uplifts. Tier 4 at level 16 is your crowd control. You either want Ring of Peace or Leg Sweep. Like I said before, the Leg Sweep is good for the lowest spirits. The Ring of Peace is a 45-second cooldown and disarm and silence for 3 seconds, and in 5.4 it'll be 4 seconds. At level 75 you get your Tier 5. It's your damage mitigation. Healing elixirs dampen harm, diffuse magic. Healing elixirs heal you every time you use Mana Tea. Dampen harm, the next 3 attacks equal to 20% more of your health will be reduced by half. And diffuse magic reduces all spell damage by 90%. So depending on the fight, it depends on which damage mitigation you're going to choose. And finally, at level 90 is your healing improvements. You have your Rushing Jadewind, your Zuyan, and Chi Torpedo. Rushing Jadewind is a tornado that travels, and it buffs your Spinning Crane Kick by 50% for 12 seconds. Good for 25-man content. Zuyan, you want to use this if you're fist weaving. For example, the beginning of Megara, like we said earlier. It's added DPS and eminence healing from the statue is good. It's also good for 5-mans. Chi Torpedo, which is my favorite, replaces roll and does healing and damage. And like I said before, in your Tier 1, you want to do celerity, and the reason for that is you get 3 Chi Torpedoes. So you get to heal and damage 3 times. But make sure you hit at least 3 targets to get an effective use. Duke, you want to go over the glyphs?
Sure. There's a few really good glyphs. A lot of people consider the Mana Tea glyph to be absolutely essential. It's fantastic. It turns Mana Tea into an instant cast. Cast it, you get 8% of your mana back every single time. Renewing Mist, the glyph of Renewing Mist turns Renewing Mist into what it was supposed to be from the beginning. By default, Renewing Mist travels to the closest hurt person within 20 yards. The glyph actually turns it into the furthest injured player within 40 yards, which means now your Renewing Mist is going to actually travel around instead of staying in a tight little circle. Initially, there was a lot of thought of, oh, maybe you only want to heal the melee, or only you want to heal ranged. Who only ever wants to heal a few people instead of healing all of them? So I never quite understood why this glyph is not baked into the spell. Other than those two, you've got a lot of optional glyphs that you can do for your third slot. Zen Meditation is a favorite because it allows you to pop up Zen Meditation and channel it while you're moving. Spinning Crane Kick is actually pretty good for letting you move at normal speed while you're channeling Spinning Crane Kick. And the last one, Enduring Healing Sphere, is fantastic because now your healing sphere will last 3 minutes, which means there's a higher chance of someone accidentally being healed. That's the only way people were ever going to get healed by the spheres in the first place. Now, as far as other glyphs go, the minor glyphs, the only one that a lot of people seem to like is Spirit Roll, but none of them actually do anything for your healing, so we're just going to skip the rest of that. Let's talk about how to gear your Mistweaver. First off, we're healers. Intellect leather. It's all you want. Agility leather will not help you even if you're fist weaving, because part of fist weaving is that your attack power is double your spell power, and you don't gain any other attack power from anything that doesn't buff your spell power. So don't bother with agility leather. Don't bother with anything that buffs attack power directly. It's not going to help you at all as a fist weaver. Let's talk about Spirit. Right now, Spirit, as far as mist weaving goes, is kind of in a weird place. The main thing that you're going to do is, how much do I feel comfortable with? It's very personal dependent. If you find yourself with a lot of leftover mana, drop some Spirit, pump it into the next stat that we love, which is Haste. There's two major points about Haste. Haste, you want to hit your 3145 Haste breakpoint. What's the breakpoint? Well, every time you hit a breakpoint with Haste, you're going to get an additional tick on Renewing Mist. I believe by default Renewing Mist hits you for about 6 ticks. Your first 3145 haste point is actually going to add 2 ticks, and after that it'll add an additional 1. Now, it's 3145 haste if you're reforging in outside of your healing stance. One of the things about our healing stance is that you gain a 50% increase on haste. So whenever you want to reforge, make sure that you're in stance of the tiger?
Serpent?
Fierce Tiger?
Or Tiger?
No, the
Fierce Tiger.
Yeah, the Furious Tiger. Make sure that you're reforging in Furious Tiger for these numbers, and you'll have the right number when you switch over to Stance of the Jade Serpent. 3145 is the first one you want to hit. If you have the spell haste buff in your group. Now, it only comes from 4 sources. Elemental Shaman, Shadow Priests, Boomkins, or Hunters, with the best pet for the DPS, Spore Bats. If you don't have that, you're going to want 4719 Spell Haste. The next major breakpoint is 6141 Haste or 7864 without the Spell Haste buff. The next one above that is 9158 Haste, and that's going to be really hard for most people to hit right now unless you're raiding Heroic.
You're talking crazy talk now.
Crit is going to be your best regen stat. Why? Whenever you have a chance to generate Mana Tea, you have a chance equal to your crit to actually generate an extra Mana Tea stack. So if your crit goes up, you're going to be generating more Mana Tea stacks per chi spent, which means that overall it's going to be a net gain for you as far as Spirit goes. Now, you want to balance your crit with your haste. At the first breakpoint, 3145, you want to hover around 20% crit chance buffed. That means a 15% crit chance unbuffed. At 6141, you want to have 25% crit chance. Once you start getting into the 30 to 35% crit chance, at that point, you're probably doing well enough to go to the 9158 haste. But right now, not a lot of people are doing that unless they're in heroic gear. Lastly, Mastery. It's awful because it's the only mastery that depends on other players. All the other healing masteries are able to work by themselves. This one depends on your players going, oh, there's a green ball, I'm going to run after that. And for the most part, everyone else is doing something more important, including you. I don't know any Mistweaver that's able to tell me, yeah, I cast a ball, it's right here, I'll go get it real quick. So stay out of mastery as much as possible. You don't want it. You don't want any trinkets that proc mastery. You want nothing like that. Now, you had some nice tips for people?
Yeah, basically for Mistweavers that are just starting out, you just want to stick with a basic Mistweaving style of healing until you get better gear. Jade Serpent statue should be down at all times. If it's not within range, put it down again. I mean, it goes wherever your party goes. Soothing Mist on allies. Try not to spam Surging Mist unless it's truly necessary. Try using Enveloping Mist instead, especially if the tank is the one taking damage. Try to keep away from Sprinting Crane Kick as well, since it consumes mana rather quickly, unless you're doing AoE damage on, I don't know, like 10 adds maybe. Keep Renewing Mist up on as many targets as possible. uplift when there's a minimum of 5 renewing mist out there for either 5 mans or 10 mans, like dungeons and raids. You want to track this with an add-on called Weak Auras, which is amazing. I don't know why you wouldn't have Weak Auras. Use Expel Harm on every cooldown. It's an easy way to get chi. Use Chi Torpedo to get to your area quickly, and make sure you try to use the heal that comes with it while your party's taking damage, and might think about taking the Celerity talent on your tier 1 as well to get 2 or 3 out of them. Sorry. Life Cocoon on single emergency and Revival on a party raid emergency. Use Mana Tea on cooldown to keep your mana as high as possible. Make sure you're glyphed into it at the beginning to make it instant. Like Duke said, once you're good with Spirit, you could glyph out of it. Remember to use whichever talents you chose, either Chi Brew, Chi Burst, Diffuse Magic, etc. Also, remember to use Thunder Focus Tea to renew your Renewing Mist, or for a powerful Surging Mist if your tank's about to die. Again, if it's on Renewing Mist, try to have as many up as possible at one time. Duke, you have anything?
Yeah, a little bit more advanced stuff. Remember that your place is going to be with melee. You're going to stand there and stare at boss crotch, or you're going to be just behind them. That's where you're going to do best, because at that point it gives you the flexibility of switching between doing a little bit of DPS and doing a little bit of healing. Like Now said, love Weak Auras. Love it. But don't just copy and paste the popular Weak Auras that you see out there. Learn to make your own. Learn a little bit of Lua coding. You'd be amazed just how powerful it is when you really start digging into it. Third thing I can recommend, there's a patch coming up. That means add-ons are going to break. Best way to make sure your add-ons don't break? Right mouse over macros. Voodoo is fantastic for all the stuff it does. Click is fantastic for all the stuff it does. But if you can write all of your own macros, put it into a mouse over macro, you don't need an add-on. You're good with whatever frame rates you got ready to go on patch day. And lastly, if you're new to healing, get used to the fact that your entire world is going to be this little part here where you're staring at a bunch of little bars. That's your whole world. You want to make sure all the bars are green. If a bar goes down, you touch it, you heal it, you go through. Cooldown notifications, cast bars, your mana, your chi, everything you want to be around the raid frame so that it's there. You also want to place it in somewhere where it's close to your feet so you can see if you're standing in fire. Like DPS, healers can get a nasty case of blinders to the world, looking at those bars and not realizing that they're the ones that are also going to die. The majority of healers die because they don't heal themselves. So remember to keep yourself up, because just like a dead DPS does no damage, a dead healer can't do anything.
All right, thank you guys so much for that Mistweaver 101. That's going to help you guys get up and reviving with the best of them. So get out there and heal. Even though I disagree with being the best spec, it's still pretty awesome. So, all right. So now
totally the best spec.
Now it's time to send your spirits to the Peak of Serenity with
Zen Pilgrimage.
Zen Pilgrimage is where we go around the world of Azeroth and take a look at all of you wonderful monks out there. We'll start off with tonight's question that we got. So, Brujin emailed in about the Windwalkers not having their own statue or raid utility ability that we talked about last episode. He suggested the following and wanted to know our take on it. So, he suggested to change the level 90 talent of Zuen to Celestial Guidance. It would change depending on your spec. So Brewmasters would get Guidance of Nozao, which would increase raid and party max health by a certain percentage and increase healing received by a certain percentage. For Mistweavers, it would be the Guidance of Yu'lon, which would increase raid and party spirit by a certain percentage and become immune to all damage for a certain amount of time. And for Windwalkers, it'd be Guidance of Zuen. It would be basically the same as we have now, but it would also gain percentage of mastery and increase movement speed for so much seconds. I like this idea. I always thought it was a little weird that we have the monks, each spec kind of has its own celestial mentor, essentially. The Windwalkers are all about Zuen, and the Mistweavers are all about the serpent Yu'lon, and the tanks are always about the the bull, Nuzao. But the talent is only Zuen. So I like this idea. Of course, I think that the numbers have to be changed because it seems like it's almost like a too powerful of an ability at that point, or kind of copies too much with the utility of the other classes. But I'd like to get your guys' take. So Sunir, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this might be interesting as like a default ability, but not as a talent, because otherwise raid utility is going to always be the required choice. You'll never take anything else. Also, Brewmasters and I think Mistweavers don't really lack utility. So it might be interesting to see if it could be like combined with Avert Harm or replace Avert Harm. And maybe add some Mistweaver and Windwalker specific utility to that skill. And for the bigger picture, there has been some interesting discussion lately on the arms race of raid utility given by DPS classes. Some people say that defensive raid utility should only be provided by tanks and healers. Some say that DPS classes can keep their utility, but maybe that they provide too much. It should be less powerful than tank and healer utility. And then others suggest that maybe if each class should have their own unique utility, but they should be very situational.
Sure, take all the utility away from the DPS. I see it. Spoken like a true tank right there.
I'm okay losing my utility too. I kind of hate it, but but I'm just reporting
and
other
all
people's
utility.
agree on.
Yeah. All right. Well, Air, what are your thoughts?
I kind of agree with with Sunny with that. Is more utility necessarily a good thing? I'm actually preferring the idea of just removing utility from classes. That way you keep each one individually a little bit more interesting, because if you give every class more utility, then they also look in the same. For instance, I like the idea of providing something unique to monks, the idea of like another statue or something else that works. It's very cool. Zune is very, you see the giant lightning tiger, and you notice that there's a monk around, which is cool. But if we make it too powerful, a talent like this, it becomes something that we just have to have. It doesn't really give us a lot of choice. But it'd be nice to see something. I just don't know if necessarily a mastery buff, which other classes provide, is needed, or a speed buff, which other classes can provide for a short amount of time, is necessarily the way to go, because we're just copying other things at that point.
So what do you think about keeping Zuen as it is? Because that's balanced in comparison to the other two talents. But instead of, for Mistweavers and tanks, instead of having Zuen, have something that's similar more to their Celestial Mentor, something that's similarly balanced.
It'd be super cool to see. Even if they just changed the graphic.
I know, I'd love to see
like that.
Nishao.
Yeah, that would be very distinctive for the class. It'd be very cool. And I think that's the things that I think is really needed to help differentiate all the different classes, to kind of help give them their signature moves.
See, what I'd love to see for the Mistweaver is have your statue erupt into the actual serpent and some big healing cooldown or something like that happens. That would be cool. So now, Yuki, what did
you want us to turn into Final Fantasy healers and summon an ultimate or something?
Yes. Yes, I do.
It's like, hold on, guys, this is a 4-minute cast time.
And you have to bash square a lot. Start pushing square.
Right, yep.
All right, now, Yuki, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I see, as far as Mistweavers go, for that change to happen, since we rarely pick Zuyan as a talent unless you're fist weaving, but I'm personally pretty happy with our raid utilities. We have Jade Serpent Statue, which is basically like having another healer in the raid when you're not in range. Revival, despite the nerf, is a good raid utility. Zen Meditation works for all monks. These are just a few examples. It shouldn't replace Zuyan as a talent, though, because I feel it should be a set stat you get like through leveling. But I also agree that Windwalkers deserve their own raid utility, like a statue, due to Brew Masters and Mistweavers having their own. Although Windwalker monks do bring 2 buffs to the table, it would be interesting to see if Blizz would giving one to Windwalkers and see what stats they would put on it. Perhaps a cooldown for DPS buff, but not necessarily a stat. You know what I mean? Because I'm not a fan of it buffing Mastery, Haste, Crit, because you never know if later on Blizz will nerf that stat, and then the statue is just obsolete, and nobody will ever choose that talent. You know.
Yeah.
So.
That's a good point.
But,
all right, Duke, you got any thoughts on this?
It's a good suggestion. I'm going to agree with everyone here that I think it would be a little overpowered. To be kind of honest, one of the main complaints that you hear, like Ayer said, is from Windwalker saying, we want some raid utility, give us some raid utility. And the truth is that basically what everyone means when they want raid utility is, I want what that guy has. And that's never going to make a good argument. Blizzard's going to hear that and go, yeah, okay, fine, whatever, next. You know, as far as they're concerned, when every class wants something one class has, then they've done their job and they've managed to make that class good. What does the Windwalker have that no other class have? Man, we look sweet doing kung fu moves. Have you seen these people?
Absolutely.
That's not just raid utility. That's Twitch
That's
utility.
being awesome.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Twitch utility. We look dang sweet doing our moves.
Replacing raid utility with Twitch utility.
Yep.
Look it up.
Yep. So
Windwalkers, you can send all your mail to Daikatsu.
Yes.
So I think we've decided that don't buff us, nerf everyone else, right? In terms of their utility.
Pretty much, that's what it comes down to.
Okay. All right.
Now that Frostheim's retired and taken his hunter talk with him, I'm thinking that we should now start to claim that all of the other classes are support classes for the monks.
Yes, absolutely. All weapons are ours. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the projects around the monk community. Last episode, we went over a Brewmaster blog, Nimble Brew, and that one's really awesome. So this week, we're going to take a look at the Monk Down Under. That's monkdownunder.wordpress.com. You can also follow him on Twitter at Matthews9292. This is also a Brewmaster blog, but it features some timely boss guides that include optimal talents, glyphs, and strategy, as well as other Brewmaster guides and thoughts.
Guides.
Yeah. So what you want to do is, take in as much information as you can. So, of course, I usually go to Icy Veins for my boss strategies. They break it down by the different specs. But having more information and different strategies is always great. So this is a good place to go if you're a Brewmaster and you're having problems tanking a certain fight. Go take a look at what he suggests and compare it with the other guides out there and see what you can do. This is a great blog. So thank you so much, Matthews9292, for your great blog. Keep it up. Keep giving us different strategies. We really enjoy it. So Sunny, what are your thoughts on this blog? Do you check up on it?
As always, I'm always really excited about blogs that continue to update regularly, and this guy is pretty active in the community, and he posts really insightful guides, I think, and other very interesting blog posts that I enjoy reading. So he's got a lot of potential, and I look forward to seeing this blog develop.
Yeah, love the monk community. We're always out there, always helping each other out. So, speaking of helping each other out, last show at Valen EU. Author of the Legacy of the Brew blog that I just mentioned, gave us a Landro's Little XT to give away on the show. We asked the audience to tweet their favorite 5.4 feature with the hashtag Monk Meditation XT. We had some great entries, and everyone had a different answer, which is exactly what Blizzard wants to hear, I'm sure. So he tweeted to us, our winner, looking forward to rushing Jade Wind Change, Ghost Raptor Glyph for Shaman, and finally getting my legendary cloak. And that winner is at RyanLong7926. I will be DMing you on Twitter your code for the little XT. Congratulations. All right, and...
Wait. He mentioned Shaman. You don't do this on this show.
Shaman are pre-monks. It's okay.
Yes, they were pre-monks. They
That's
were the
my
monks before monks.
Twitter account. So.
All right, so do we have any shout-outs? No.
Yeah, I got some. I want to give a shout out to Remedies. Oh, what was that? Am I still here?
Yep, you're still there.
Yep.
Okay. My screen went all crazy. A shout out to Remedies, Cage, and Dunlock from the Press Y podcast, and Roe from the Realm Maintenance podcast for my awesome new mount that I won, the Jeweled Onyx Panther.
Holy crap! Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I got
Very
lucky
nice.
on that.
It's Voltron Kitty.
Yeah. That thing costs.
Yeah, I won
I don't even
against-
want to think how much that thing costs with just the orbs alone. Jeez. Congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
I went against Zagnut, and it was real close. I don't even. Wow.
But you have to do a fight to the
But,
death.
yeah, we had to roll off like 2-3 times. We kept tying each other. That's funny.
Oh god, that was stressful. All right, anything else?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my wife and daughter. My daughter just turned 5 months today.
Oh wow, congrats.
Yeah, and next week, me and Mrs. Nao will be 2 years married.
Woohoo! Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Duke, you got a shout out.
Yeah, I want to send a shout out to the Converted, and they had me on their latest roundtable covering normal raids in a world where Flex exists. We had a great discussion. It was about half an hour long, but you should check out the whole podcast. It's fantastic work by Belschnickel and Summersal.
Yeah, I watched you on there. You did excellent. Good job. I was actually on there the week before talking about the economy and the changes there as far as the microtransactions, or as Duke would call it, premium transactions.
Yes.
So that was an interesting discussion. I appreciated that. So, all right, Air, you got anything?
I guess in general, a big shout out to everyone listening. You guys, especially, it's nice to see you guys again. And a shout out to the Japanese vitamin C drink making companies, because without you guys, I might not be here right now.
All right, Sunny, you got anything?
No.
Okay. All right.
She's still mad at the priest.
Yep.
Yep. That's clouded my entire week. I can't think of anything else.
All right, I just want to give a shout out to the Monk community, especially our dojo that's listening live right now at twitch.tv/wowmonk. You guys are awesome. Keep up your awesomeness. And I want to give a shout out to my raid team, Rolling Thunder, for staying with me through Lei Shen and the horrible wipes the last couple days. We will get him down and get our ahead of the curve feat of strength here fairly shortly. So, all right, well, okay, guys, I think it is time to get our furry butts out of here. But first, let's go see those awesome 5-star reviews. So we had a 5-star review on iTunes. Now, Yuki, can you read that off for us?
Sure. This one's from Gobes. He said, I rolled a monk when the expansion first came out, and since then, every time I listen to a WoW podcast, I want to hear something about monks. I was so pumped when it was announced there would be a monk podcast. Love the show. It's always entertaining and very informative. I dare everyone to listen to this and enjoy it. Do it if you're cool.
Absolutely. Do it if you're cool. I love Gobes. I follow him on Twitter. He has a ton of healers. He has like a healer of pretty much every class. He's crazy that way. But he seems to really be digging Mistweaver. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks for giving us a 5-star review. Please rate us on iTunes, and you can also subscribe on YouTube. That's youtube.com/user/Monk Meditation Show, or on Twitch TV. So twitch.tv/WowMonk. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and you can watch us live in 2 weeks. Patch Day, August 27th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/WowMonk, or after the fact on iTunes, Twitcher, twitch.tv, or monkmeditation.com. And on monkmeditation.com, you can buy the hosts a cup of Mana tea, or for bringing you the best monk discussion on the interwebs. And this isn't just our podcast. We want it to be yours. So let us know where we can find you, either on Twitch, Twitter, in-game, wherever else you are. Help us prove the Monk community is the greatest community in the world of Warcraft. Reach out to us individually, or email the show at monkmeditation@gmail.com. So where can everyone follow you guys at? You can follow the host at Chai T, that's me. The best place to find me is on Twitter at WowMonk, or in-game on Airy Peak or Argent Dawn US is Chai T. My battle tag is Chai T, hashtag 1806. I also stream live Fridays and Mondays at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern on my Rolling Thunder raid team at twitch.tv/WowMonk. Now, Yuki, where can we find you?
All you tweepsters out there could find me on Twitter at naoyuki_CTR. That's NAOYUKI_CTR. You can also find me in-game on Airy Peak US as Naoyuki or one of my alts. I have an add-on. If I talk in guild chat, you'll see Naoyuki as my main. My battle tag is Naoyuki #1840, or you can email me at naoyukictr@gmail.com. No underscore in that one. If you have or want to submit some of your Confused to Say jokes, you could send it to that email as well. And
Oh,
it'll be
yes,
right on the show.
please do. All right. Daikatsu, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DaikatsuCTR, no underscore, or you can find me in game as Daikatsu on the Airy Peak server, one of my couple of or alts. Best way to find me in game, battle tag. That's DUKROUS #1538.
All right. Air, where can we follow you at?
You can find me in a Twitter sphere at Air Monk, and in the world of Azeroth on Airy Peak in a CTR guild as Air. That is spelled AYR.
All right. And Sunnier, how about you?
Well, you can find all of my contact information on my blog at sunniersartofwar.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at SunnierBear or add me in game. My ID is Sunnier #1336. You can also email me at sunniersartofwar.com.
All right, thank you. Now, Monk Meditation is a World of Warcraft fan podcast, copyright 2013. Certain audio portions belong entirely to Blizzard Entertainment, and no copyright infringement is intended. All right, thank you for attending Monk Meditation, students. Class is now dismissed.